Today's story is Christmas from Heaven, written by David T. Warner and beautifully illustrated by Robert T. Barrett. Let's begin. On Christmas Eve, 1948, somewhere between Wiesbaden and Berlin, a 27-year-old American pilot gazed into the night sky. The heavens were so full of stars, it seemed they could overflow and tumble to earth in a brilliant display of Christmas generosity and joy. Hal, as he was known to his crew, wrapped his hands around the yoke of his C-54 cargo plane packed with 20,000 pounds of flour. This is the real spirit of Christmas, he thought to himself as he guided his plane towards the Tempelhof Air Force Base in West Berlin. When World War II had ended 3 years earlier, Germany and its capital city were divided between the Western Allies and the Soviet Union. Then, in a grab for power, Stalin blocked ground transportation into the city. To preserve freedom and keep 2.5 million West Berliners from starving, the United States and Britain began transporting food and other basic supplies by air. Hal was one of hundreds of Americans who participated in the historic Berlin airlift dubbed Operation Vittles. That snowy Christmas Eve, as Hal radioed for clearance to land, his mind wandered back 6 months to the day that had changed his life. He had been standing at the end of the Tempelhof runway, taking home movies of arriving planes, when he noticed about 30 children on a grassy strip just beyond a barbed wire fence. In broken English, they asked about the planes, how much flour they were carrying, and whether the aircraft would continue. Although the children had been on meager rations, they were more concerned with freedom than with flour. They wanted what Hal always had, the opportunity to pursue their dreams. For nearly an hour, Hal answered their questions before saying goodbye. As he turned away, one question lingered in his mind. What makes these kids different? All over the world, children were known to beg for candy from American servicemen. These children had little to eat and no candy at all. Yet they were grateful for what the airlift had given them and asked for nothing. Their gratitude melted Hal's heart. Instinctively, he wanted to give something back. Digging into his pockets, he found only 2 sticks of gum. From little things come big things, his father used to say. A broad smile crossed Hal's boyish face. Giving so little to so many could cause a squabble, he reasoned. But a quiet voice within him urged him on. Hal broke the gum into 4 pieces and passed it through the fence. Without a word, the 4 children tore the gum wrappers into strips and passed them to others. One by one, each small nose was pressed into the paper, breathing in the minty smell. Never had he seen such expressions of joy and wonder, even at Christmas time. As Hal watched in amazement, his mind raced. If only I had more to give, he thought. He had his own rations of gum and chocolate. Maybe his buddies would be willing to donate theirs. Just then, another C-54 roared over his head, and an idea formed in his mind. I could drop candy from the air, he thought to himself. He quickly explained his plan to the children. When they asked how to recognize his plane, he remembered flying over the family farm back home. I'll wiggle my wings, he shouted, spreading his long arms and waving them up and down. The children giggled with delight. Just promise me you'll share the candy. All heads nodded in agreement. By the next day, Hal had secretly enlisted the crew to donate their rations and make parachutes from handkerchiefs. As Hal's plane approached the runway and the grass came into view, he wiggled his wings and a knot of waiting children exploded, running and jumping in the air. With the precision of bombardiers, the airmen pushed the candy out of the flare chute, and white canopies floated to the earth. 30 children ran with open arms to catch the treasures. Hal and his buddies were as excited as the children. The thrill of giving was irresistible. Soon they were dropping parachutes every day, hundreds of them. The press caught on and the reports went out. Mail for Uncle Wiggly Wings began piling up at base operations. Hal found himself standing before his superior, expecting to be court-martialed. But the colonel surprised him. "Halverson," he said, "General Thunner thinks it's a good idea." Soon hundreds of airmen were donating rations. Operation Little Vittles quickly captured the imagination of people everywhere. Candies and handkerchiefs poured in from around the world. Hal became known as the Candy Bomber and the Chocolate Pilot. Across West Berlin, children gathered to catch the parachutes and share the candy with each other. And they sent hundreds of thank you letters, like the one addressed to Dear Uncle of the Heaven. Some included maps and instructions. Fly along the big canal to the second bridge. Turn right 1 block. I live in the bombed out house on the corner. I'll be in the backyard every day at 2 p.m. Drop the chocolate there. Day by day, the parachutes brought peace and the candy brought renewed hope. The children made friends of their former enemies, and their parents' hearts were softened. The wounds of war began to heal. By December, the Little Vittles operation had gathered 18 tons of candy from American candy makers, and 3 more tons came from private donors. The spirit of Christmas was descending on people everywhere, lifting them up in the joy of giving. That Christmas Eve, the 27-year-old American pilot blinked back tears. The stars overhead could not be more beautiful than the skies overflowing with parachutes, tumbling to earth in a brilliant display of Christmas generosity and joy. His father was right. From little things come big things. Hal in his cockpit pulled back on the yoke as his wheels rolled into the familiar runway. This is the spirit of Christmas. To give whatever we have, no matter how small the gift. In that moment, Hal Halverson prayed for the courage to never give anything less. The end. Oh, I love this story. As you could tell, sometimes I could really feel how much love he had for those children. This is a story of hope. It's a story of remembering that it's the little things we give that become great. His little things, his willingness to give up the treats that he had, caused others to do the same, and it became something huge. I love this. I hope you'll remember it to carry in your hearts and share with others. Always remember to find the good in the world or create it yourself. Thanks for joining me. If you'd like to stay a little bit longer, I'll read one of the letters that's in the book itself. The book is filled with pictures from that time where he was the Candy Bomber. And I encourage you, if you enjoyed this story, to buy the book yourself. There's so many extra things to read in it, and you'll enjoy it with your family. This is a letter from one of the young German children that was written with gratitude. Dear American pilots, there was much joy when our teacher told us that we could visit the airport today. Night and day you bring us food and coal with your planes. If you would not bring us food through the air, we would all have nothing to eat. I am sure that there will be trouble sometimes, and some American pilots have lost their lives in order to care for us. I thank you very much for your help and remain with the best wishes for you. Ing Shobish. To me, that's a beautiful reminder that we can affect people's lives in the most beautiful ways without even realize what an impact it can have. People need to feel loved. People need to feel hope. And we have the opportunity to share with what we have, no matter how little it is, with them. We'll see you next time.